Alright folks, we are technically back, but this might just be an absolute new stream. We have finished the qualifying session of the Bwoah Racing League Dutch GP of Season 5. It's race number 14 of Season 5. The qualifying session did see Derp pick off pole position from the rest of the grid, Eccentric starting alongside him as well. This is an unfortunate restart, considering Gauts was left parked on his grid box due to a game glitch. UK went completely off track onto the gravel as well. Things beyond their control, as it might seem. But we are out and about, and we are in the formation lap of race number 14. Let's quickly head out on track. There you go. You see the drivers weaving, trying to make sure that the tires are heated up come race start, and they have that much of an edge against their competitors. It's Derp on pole position ahead of Eccentric, his teammate for the day. It would have been an Alfa Romeo front row lockout, the first front row lockout of Season 5. Unfortunately, Eccentric is from another team. He was requested by the in-game Alfa Romeo team's team principal, race engineer for that matter, Erebus, and Eccentric was happy enough to come out on track and race. Anything for an opportunity to race against the quickest drivers in the Bwoah Racing League for the day. It's race number 14 as we are at the Zandvoort circuit. Oh, it seems to me that there is an issue with the order itself. So, yeah, Hyrox 24 technically qualified P16, a early retirement from him. Victory 56 should start in P15. They have agreed on a term though. Hyrox 24 will let Victory 56 by into turn 1. So that's some good sportsmanship by the likes of the drivers out on track. So hopefully everything's resolved. We do see a driver parked out on track already. That seems to be a Williams of UK. Yeah, that is UK. So he was disqualified from the formation lap, and I'm struck with an issue now. Unfortunate for me, I guess. There you go. So this race is turning out to be one to forget at this point. Hopefully we make it. We won't make it for the lights, folks. Unfortunate, but it is what it is, I guess. We are in. I am doing my best to get back to the lobby so we can see the drivers on race start. Not the happiest of moments for me. Folks watching, thank you very much. Y'all are the handful of folks who actually follow RoadRunnerRacingCo Esports quite intensively, considering this link is a new link for the live stream. But yeah, we are well and ready for the race itself. 50% race distance race. Hopefully we've not got a retirement in lap 1 already. I believe they should be around in the exit of sector 3 right now as I rejoin on my paths in sector 2. Most of the drivers up in front and the back markers exiting sector 1, of course. Let's see how close I was with that prediction. There you go. We got 2 retirements already. Unfortunately, Kuberabi and UK have retired. And on lap number 1, Derp leads this race ahead of Eccentric. And as I say that at the exit of sector 3, I was right. And Eccentric closes in. So does Big Man Joe on the likes of Sicknick. But it's Freeze who's got company. It's KDB on the gearbox of Freeze on the main straight even before DRS, with Slipstream alongside of him, and down into turn 1, down the inside. KDB's upper position, and I don't think he's going to stop there. He's up at a P7. Now he takes the fight to Baby Shumi. Now at the back of the pack, Gouts does head into the pits. Hopefully we'll get to see in chat why that incident ensued and why Kuberabi and UK have retired as well. Now let's stay on board Dark Legacy. He's the other driver closing in on the likes of a competitor. He's within 3/10 of Freeze. Freeze having lost a position, now in P8, vulnerable in some ways to the likes of Dark Legacy. I had mentioned, will we see the best Dark Legacy out on track today? And we've got Sector 2 lighting up yellow, folks. That is Vix356, who might have had a spin. Yes, his front wing looks intact, so it was just a spin. Got thrown onto the gravel, and Sector 2 is clear now. Let's quickly switch back to the front, where a DRS train is forming. It's sickening on RB Ferrello. Big Man Joe as well in the mix. Baby Shumi a bit too far behind, and the rear kicks out for Big Man Joe. Somehow holds on to the car on track itself. You did see the rear kick out after Big Man Joe went on top of the curb itself, but up ahead, eccentric on the gearbox of Derp. We will not see a move. Sicknick on the gearbox of RB Ferrero 14, and KDB on Baby Shumi. So yeah, bunch of these drivers now all within 2/10 to 3/10 of one another. And come the next DRS zone, I believe, which is in Sector 2, we might just see an opportunity for these drivers. Now it's eccentric on Derp. It's the two Alfa Romeos. I think I did see RB Ferrero also competing for a position, and that's why I quite stuttered there. But Derp pulls away nicely, and up ahead it's Big Man Joe. Sickning and RB Ferrero still well within each other, within half a second. In fact, not ready for a move to be made though. KDB on Baby Shumi as well. Back of the pack, the gaps are extending. You can expect this race to pan out just like this. Sector 2 lights up here. That's Hyrox 24 and Streeter, who might have just had an incident. And that's Drunken Monkey closing in on the likes of Hyrox 24. Yeah, he's made the move as well. Now we'll be heading into the main straight soon enough. And there you go, eccentric on the main straight on Derp, down the inside, much similar to the one KDB made in terms of a move itself, and up into the race lead goes eccentric. Derp, how he's gonna let this fly, I don't know. Mind you, he's got him in the voice channel as well, Derp. They are teammates for the day after all. RB Ferrello taking a wider line to ensure he holds on to that position. Sicknick didn't attempt anything, any shenanigan of sorts, while you might have expected that from Sicknick from Season 3. This is Season 5. Sicknick's become quite the driver now. Big Man Joe patiently waiting, hoping for RB Ferrero and Sicknick to fumble, make a mistake or two, so he gets two positions within a corner, or perhaps within a lap itself. RB Ferrero, you can see him take wider lines than usual, similar to what Dalvin did back in Japan. Yes, folks watching, make sure you drop in the chat. Who do you think will come out on top come the end of the race? A bit early on, but would love to hear predictions. Now, Big Man Joe within 2/10 of Sicknig, closest of these three drivers to one another. A DRS string can be found. KDB closes that gap along with Baby Shumi and Freeze, but now might be an opportunity. RB Ferrero weaves to the right hand side of the track, trying to deny Slipstream. Weaves back to the left, but not enough. Around the outside goes Sicknig. He's up into the podium positions now. It's Sicknig up in P3. Big Man Joe now 4/10 away from RB Ferrero. So he is still hoping for this battle to pan out against the two drivers, and yet again the same corner in Sector 1 kicks the rear of Big Man Joe out, and he will lose a bit of time. KDB tumbles down the order, and let's take a look at that front wing. It's a one piece because he's lost two positions. He's lost an end plate as well. Sector 1 lights up yellow, and now it's Dark Legacy who finds himself closer than ever to Freeze, who'll be on Baby Shumi's gearbox soon enough as well. Now an incident at the back of the pack. That's Drunken Monkey. That's a slow moving Red Bull, no front wing, and Sector 2 lights up yellow. Up ahead though, the other Red Bull, close enough for a possible move. KDB loses yet another position on track. He needs to head in the pits. He needs a change of front wing as soon as possible. Now that front race lead has extended for over a second. Eccentric pulling away nicely. We've seen him perform this way in Season 4 as well. You give him that race lead, he's going to just pull away. The only driver error that could come up, yep, that's a possibility. But then again, it is Eccentric up ahead. RB Ferrell on the gearbox of Sicknig as well. Now Andre charging on alongside of Irox24 around the outside this time. They will stay wheel to wheel. KDB is in the pits. Andre's teammate for the day. Andre up in a P10. There you go, folks. That's a charge in the process, you could say. And RB Ferrero now has a Big Man Joe on his tail. Has had Big Man Joe for a while now. Drunken Monkey heads into the pits after losing a front wing as well. Yeah, on lap number 6, we got 30 laps left, folks. And these gaps are extending. Sicknick's gap to Derp is now over 2.5 seconds. But these three are still close behind each other. Sicknick, RB Ferrero, Big Man Joe. And yeah, on main straight yet again. Now Sicknick now weaves to the right hand side of the track, trying to deny slipstream. RB Fellow comes charging now down the inside. He goes. They're going to stay wheel to wheel with Sicknick having a bit of an advantage in Sector 1. How much of an effect this is going to have? Meanwhile, Freeze trying to make an attempt on Baby Shumi. Goes completely wide onto the gravel. Almost gets sent into the wall. But will somehow rejoin the track. That's going to cost him. Dark Legacy seems to have retired from the session. Now he's beached on track. He's lost a front wing as well. That is in Sector 1. That's a full safety car. And now, folks, things take a turn, don't they? We got KDB on fresh set of mediums. Drunken Monkey on fresh set of sauce. The top 8 are all on 6-lap old soft tires. Forgive me, I'm speaking gibberish at some points, but it's full safety cars. Dark Legacy retires from the session, and Eccentric leads this race. And a 1 second gap ahead of Derp ceases to exist come the safety car restart. And for those watching, sorry I didn't look at chat. Apologies for that, but yep, we do have a few people here. Make sure you drop in the chat who you're here for, who do you think will come out on top come the end of the race itself. 4-5-second penalty for Sicknick as he is speeding in the pit lane. Rightfully so. The top 6, top 7 now. And the top 8, mind you, everybody who were in the top 8, all on soft tires, did head into the pits for a change of mediums. That should at least help KDB close that gap, definitely. That was a huge gap you would have had if the race didn't have a safety car at this point. And Hyrox24 will be in P5 in the mix of drivers with fresh set of mediums. Sicknig has come out on track with a fresh set of soft, speeding under safety car penalty for KDB, and a fresh set of hards for Baby Shumi, Freeze and Streeter. So there is a significant difference in strategies in the top 8. All drivers who had pitted in this lap. Eccentric still leads this race. Derp 2 seconds away from Eccentric. Of course, that gap will be closed in comes safety car restart. Sicknig on fresh set of softs. This is his opportunity to pick off that race lead from the 2 Alfa Romeos. These two are battling for position. They're battling for the championship themselves. They are, however, teammates for the day. Will they play a role now? Will team orders come into play? Erebus could call it. He is in their voice channel. He has that power to do so. Of course, drivers' POV matters as well. Drivers' inputs matter so much as well. But yeah, Vixie56 out on fresh set of softs. Another driver out on track on fresh set of softs. But he's down in P14. He's got his own race to race alongside Drunken Monkey, Gouts and KDB. Safety car still continues to be out on track because Eccentric having a quick break with his AI out on track. I can imagine how excited Dalvin would have been seeing this much of a difference in strategies within the top 8. We're still on lap number 9, folks. We've barely started in terms of the race itself here in the Bwoah Racing League. We have seen things pan out in the last 3 laps of a race as well. So you can expect good things come the last 3 laps, 4 laps in fact as well. Drunken Monkey does head into the pits, however. He will be getting on a fresh set of mediums. Yep. It's a fresh set of mediums for Drunken Monkey. 5-second penalty after a severe collision with Streeter for Andre. His front wing looks okay, so I don't think it's too worrying for the likes of Andre. And Streeter looks fine as well. He's got the front wing. Mind you, this is a similar position Streeter was in back in Imola. It was his first race in the Bwoah Racing League, and although he was in the midfield, while safety cars did come out one by one, it did play into his hands, and he was able to make it convert it in fact into a race win. That's right, Streeter stands as the only driver in the Bwoah Racing League for having won the first race in Bwoah Racing League. Of course, Oxygen is in that list, so as I now recall, it's Oxygen, Streeter, Eccentric even. All 3 drivers who have won their first race in the Bwoah Racing League. The very first race. Oh, there you go. Derp heads into the pits. Now, after that collision with Eccentric, we did see that happen. He has headed into the pits. That is a front wing change for the man who started on pole position in this race. Has tumbled down the order and will come out in P14 on a fresh set of softs. He'll be on a charge of his own. He's, by the looks of it, serving penalties as well. So, yeah, Eccentric holds on to the race lead ahead of Sicknig. RB Ferrello now in the top 3 on 1 lap old medium. So for Sicknig, this becomes a bit more easier come the safety car restart. He's on fresh, soft tires. His closest competitor, Eccentric, who leads this race, is on fresh mediums. So he's going to have a tire advantage, but once that tire starts falling through after about 6-7 laps, which we did see happen with the drivers, the top 8 in fact, who were out on track earlier on, before the safety car came out on track, we might just see him head into the pits earlier. It's a gamble for Sicknig, but let's see if it'll go in his favor or not. It's all to find out here on lap number 10. Safety car still out on track. For the 6 of you all watching, make sure you drop in the chat. Who do you think will win this race? 26 laps and safety car in this lap after all. 11th lap is when we resume racing. That's the Aston Martin safety car out on track. Always love an Aston Martin out on track. Speaking of Aston Martins, Andre and KDB, P9, P10 respectively. Team orders perhaps. Again, Andre, only teammate for the day. Andre is part of the in-game McLaren team here in the Bwoah Racing League, having been asked to race for Aston Martin for the day. Sicknig so eager. That much eager to pick off that race lead. See him, he's almost lining alongside Eccentric as we have safety car restart, folks. It's RB Ferrello, surprisingly enough, on Sicknig. He's gotten the slipstream down the inside. He's peaking of Sicknig, but Sicknig will have a driver advantage and hold on to P2 for that much longer. Right behind, Baby Shumi knocks wheels with Freeze, which has costed Freeze to spin out and lose an end plate as well. Up ahead, Sicknig still behind Eccentric. You'd expect him to make the move Stig into sector 1, but seems like he's not gotten the opportunity just yet. Let's hop on to Streeter, who's closing in on Baby Shumi, and at the back of the pack, similar drivers are closing in on the likes of their competitors. Nothing's changed in the order apart from Freeze's fall down the order to P13 on 2 lap old hard tires. And now you can see the gaps extend quite a bit. Dub's gotten quite the start. He's gotten 4 positions on safety car restart. He's currently running P10. He's on fresh set of softs, so rightfully so. You expect something like that from the driver himself. Now Andre on Streeter. Now this is crucial. Is a DRS train having been formed. You want to be the one making the moves, not the one to be made a move on out on track. But mind you, that is a tire disadvantage for Streeter for now, as Baby Shumi weaves to the right hand side of the track. Streeter follows but won't help his cause alongside each other. Andre and Streeter into turn 1 around the outside. Andre should be able to get the move done. Up in a P7 he goes, but Streeter's playing the long game. You see he's on hard tires. This might just pan out in his favor soon enough. But yeah, no change in the order. Otherwise, it's Streeter losing a position now to Dub. Dub's on fresh set of soft tires as well. Now you see Wixty56 closing in on the likes of his old teammate Gouts. In Season 4, it was Wixty56 and Gouts teammates, the in-game Ferrari team. And this DRS train's not going anywhere, folks. Up ahead, it's Big Man Joe on the likes of Hyrox24. And there you go, Hyrox24 tucks right behind Big Man Joe. He's trying to attempt to move a switchback of sorts, but right behind, of course, battles all around. Andre on Baby Shumi, Derp as well. Gouts, Streeter getting into the midst. Now Gouts seems to be an opportunistic position to pick off a position or two. Now it's Andre on Baby Shumi even before the main straight alongside each other, and that's a spun Ferrari. Hyrox24 tumbles down the order as Derp now alongside the likes of the Mercedes, and up in a P6. He's not stopping for anyone. Within a lap, he's gone from P14 all the way to P6, and that charge continues. He's got his eyes set on that race lead, doesn't he? Now Streeter on the likes of McLaren, perhaps. No, McLaren spinning McLaren. That's Gouts falls down the order after a terrible spin contact between him and Streeter, I presume, and we continue racing regardless. He would have joined back to the track. Wixty56 now down the inside of Streeter. Streeter seems to have had damage. He's hopping about on the grass. In fact, I think he's lost an end plate, which is causing him, yep, no end plate for Streeter. He'll be heading into the pits, and yeah, he's taking down everything in his sights. Now Derp takes that fight to Andre as well. So on lap number 13, Derp now in P6. Up ahead, Sicknig's gap. His opportunity might have just slipped away, folks. Eccentric still leading this race, and that gap's extended to a second now. 10-second time penalty for Streeter after corner cutting. Unfortunate for him. Sector 3 lights up yellow. That's Streeter falling down the order, but all eyes on Derp as he charges onto Andre. Look at the speed he's carrying on the main straight. Those soft tires working its charm for Derp, but not working its charm for Sicknig, who's currently running in P2. Mind you, soon enough, Derp's going to be on Sicknig's tail if things go Derp's way in the next couple of laps. Streeter has retired from the session. He's retired voluntarily in the pits. So that's the end of the race for Streeter, who we'd hope to see make that climb up the order. Unfortunate for him. But right now, as it stands, it's Eccentric leading this race ahead of Sicknig, RB Ferrero 14, Big Man Joe, and Derp. To wrap up the top 5, let's quickly switch back to Hyrox24, who had an unfortunate spin at the exit of Sector 3 on the main straight. In fact, we did catch it while being on board a couple of the other drivers who were having battles of their own. Right now, he's on the charge of his own. He's got the closest gap to Drunken Monkey, who takes a wider line than usual going into Sector 3. Might just leave a gap open, and at this exit, who gets the better exit? Seems to me the Hyrox did. And around the outside, we might just see a move. No, Drunken Monkey holds on to P9 for that much longer. Mind you, main straight, it's already Hyrox24's by the looks of it on his gearbox. No, Drunken Monkey is heading into the pit. No, he weaves to the right early. Probably a fake, but alongside each other, Ferrari and Red Bull. And around the outside, Hyrox24 up in a P9. Alright folks, hopefully there was no issues with the audio earlier on. And as it stands, Andre, closest driver out on track to a competitor, but that is Derp. So let's quickly have tire data back on our screens. Set of mediums. against a set of softs which are 4 lap old. Sicknig, unfortunate for him, he's on 7 lap old softs, of course, on lap number 16. Now we see Andre trying to peek around the outside, but Dub, he's just got better tires. There's no challenging him for the position just yet, and he will. That gap might just extend to over a second soon enough. And like I mentioned, probably a bad race for Dallin to opt out of, considering this was in fact one that will get a bit stagnant a long time. We're on lap number 16. We've got 20 laps in fact still left. And yeah, you can see the gaps extending to over a second. The closest drivers are within a second of each other. And as I say that just got wiped out as well. So it's Andre and Derp, the closest drivers, 2 drivers out on track. Eccentric, what a comfortable lead he's built of over 3 seconds. Something I hadn't expected, considering he was on mediums and not on softs. I expect Sicknick to be a bit more aggressive and make sure he gets an advantage. But seems like Eccentric held it nicely, and by the looks of it, Sicknick, as he weaves to the right hand side of the track on the main straight, he might just be vulnerable come the next lap. Look at Abi Ferrero on 8 lap old mediums. His tires are primed for battle, you could say. And on 8 lap old soft, Sicknick's not looking too great out there running P2. He really needs something to work in his favor as Irox 24 closes in on Wix 356. So we'll get a battle on screen after all, folks. 16 lap old mediums for Mr. Irox 24 is on the tail of 9 lap old softs of Wix 356. So both drivers could be struggling in their own ways on those tires. But yeah, as it stands, we might just see a battle after all. You can see these gaps crumble down to within a second now. Derp on the likes of Big Man Joe, Andre on the likes of Derp as well. Abi Ferrero now well within a second of Sicknig. Let's quickly switch back. Oh, Iox 24 now awfully close, 3/10 now, and he's got DRS as well on Wix 356. Down the inside, will he plunge? No, he'll hold back for the main straight. Now the move to be made on the main straight is the call. I'm sure Wix 356 goes completely wide onto the curbs, as close as it could get to the wall. Kicks the left rear onto the grass as well at the exit of the following corner. Now we're on the main straight, folks. Cyrox 24 on Wix 356 as Wix 356 weaves to the right hand side of the track, nicks the wall as well, and with Slipstream and DRX, Cyrox 24 on the outside should go up in a P8. No, Wix 356 comes back defending these two, staying wheel to wheel, and Wix 356 still holding on to P8. That opens up an opportunity for the likes of Drunken Monkey and Gouts, who were having their own battle right behind. Now it's a DRS train at the back of the pack. Gouts within 2/10 of Drunken Monkey, however, seems poised to pick off a position come the next DRS zone. You can see how close Iox 24 is on Wix 356. The rear kicks out and he almost gets sent into a spin. However, Drunken Monkey closes in as well. Gouts as well. KDB now closes in on the likes of Gouts. So an opportunity for some of these drivers to pick up more than one position. In Sector 3, lights up yellow. That's a slow moving Aston Martin. Is it? Yeah, that was a slow moving Aston Martin who does head into the pits, in fact. So let's switch to the likes of KDB on the main straight. Yep, this is where the positions will be exchanged. No, they will on the right hand side of the main straight. Weaves, but Drunken Monkey holds off Gouts, and who doesn't have to hold off KDB. That gap still exists. So KDB now doing what Big Man Joe did earlier on, trying to wait and see if Drunken Monkey and Gouts will fumble, and he might just be poised to pick off 2 positions in one, or will he go at it early? He's looking for that gap, and I'm having my eyes on RB Ferraro and Sicknick as well, now within 3/10 of each other. So battles ensue from the front of the pack all the way to the back. Now on the gearbox, KDB carefully taking each and every corner, making sure he's as close as possible. As Baby Shumi seems to have glitched out on track. Unfortunate to see that happen, but Gouts goes wide, opens up a gap for KDB. Both get equally good exits but around down the inside come the next corner. You might just see an opportunity. No, holds on to the back of Gouts that much longer. Look how close these drivers are racing. Good exits for all three, and Derp, however, in front has gotten the move done on the likes of Big Man Joe. Now we are on the main straight, folks. This is all to play for from the likes of Irox24 on Vix 356, who weaves to the right hand side of the track. You can see 5 cars on the main straight, all within DRS of one another. Around the outside comes Irox24. Again, Vix 356 trying his best to defend and fend off. I believe there was contact this time around by Irox24. He's up at a P6 this time, and there's no stopping him now. 3-second time penalty for Andre as well. Now Vix 356 is vulnerable to the other drivers. Gouts now trying desperately to get that position off of Drunken Monkey sooner before KDB closes in as well. He's as close as he was last lap, KDB. Now he's just playing the waiting game, waiting for these drivers to fumble and pick off 2 positions. You can see Drunken Monkey sliding over the curb as well. Down the inside he goes. They're wheel to wheel, Drunken Monkey and Vix 356, teammates in season 3, but wheel to wheel again, and that is contact between Drunken Monkey and Gouts as well. KDB now perhaps confused, considering there was contact between him and Gouts as well. Down the inside he lunges. He'll stay wheel to wheel. He's had enough of the shenanigans. He's up in a P9. Up ahead, of course, the move has been made. RB Fellow and Sicknick wheel to wheel in sector 1 at the right moment. RB Fellow up in a P2 again. It did seem like Sicknick held on to that P2 more for that much longer, but let's go back to KDB, who's now wheel to wheel with Drunken Monkey down the inside into turn 1, and they've got Vix 356 who's slowly moving for company. Aston Martin in front, up in a P8. That's KDB on a charge. Gouts trying to hold on to that gap of half a second, and sector 3 lighting up yellow. I wonder what's going on there, but Drunken Monkey trying to fend off Gouts. Oh, and it didn't go in his favor. Down the inside, a smart move by Gouts. He's up at a P9 and gets past Drunken Monkey after all. Meanwhile, KDB now 3/10 of Vix 356 around the outside. Should be able to make sure that move's done by the end of this lap. We're on lap number 22. It's a 36 lap race, of course. And up ahead, Sicknick again picks up that position from RB Ferrello. Quite the battle between the two for the podium positions respectively, both on 13 lap old tires. But mind you, mediums for RB Ferrello, softs for Sicknick. And somehow Sicknick's making this work in his favor. And there you go, folks. We got Vix 356 ahead of KDB, who Vix 356 nicks the wall. KDB weaves to the left and around the outside even before turn 1. He's up in front. He's up in a P7. And now you see these gaps stagnant a bit, and RB Ferrello within half a second of Sicknick yet again. They've been switching positions for the last couple of laps as we stayed on board the midfield drivers out on track. On lap number 23 now, Sicknick weaves to the right hand side, much similar to how RB Ferrello faced Sicknick, but he is recharging battery, and down the inside goes RB Ferrello. No, he holds back. Sicknick holds on to P2. Seems like RB Ferrello's low on battery power as well, so both recharging, probably not helping either one, considering Mr. Eccentric has pulled away. He's almost built an 8-second gap to the likes of Sicknick. And that is KDB on the likes of Irox24 now around the outside, weaves to the left and gets that position up in a P6. Now he's on a charge of his own. Gouts has made the pass stick on Vix 356, who's sent into the gravel and gets sent back into track, almost colliding with Drunken Monkey. As sector 2 lit up yellow, I wonder what went wrong there. But yeah, Vix 356 now down into P10. Baby Shumi, after an unfortunate glitch, I presume, is down into P11. Now let's quickly switch back to RB Ferrello, who's entering sector 3 with his competitor, closest competitor, Sicknick, who has been trading positions. These guys have been trading positions for a few laps now, as I mentioned, on lap number 24. At the end of on lap 24, we see Sicknick now vulnerable to RB Ferrello. This time around, he doesn't weave as much to the right-hand side of the track. I think he's got a plan, but will that work? As down the inside comes RB Ferrello. Both stay wheel to wheel. And that plan might have just worked. Sicknig still ahead. Still P2 on lap number 24. Now KDB, who's been on a charge through the midfield, has quite the gap to close in. He's got over a 20-second gap to close in to Big Man Joe. Mind you, both of them are on similar set of tires. Big Man Joe on 15-lap-old mediums, KDB on 17-lap-old mediums as well. Now, this battle, we can have eyes on it throughout this race. Perhaps RB Ferrello and Sicknig. How Sicknig is making this work for him is a question in its own. Considering RB Ferrello could be, you could argue he is on the better tires. 15-lap-old mediums for RB Ferrello and 15-lap-old softs for Sicknig. There you go, main straight yet again. Sicknig again playing the same kind of game he did last time around. Wheel to wheel a bit earlier than usual now, whereas RB Ferrello ahead earlier than usual of Sicknig. And this time around, I don't think he has to worry about a switchback of any sorts, as he's gotten that P2 fair and square. Sicknig now down into P3. Let's switch back to our race leader on lap number 25. Eccentric leads this race with a 9-second gap as he heads off track, in fact, completely, and goes into one of those Emirates boards, and hopefully he's not gotten any sort of damage. He needs clinical laps to ensure he has the race win sealed already. Stay on board Eccentric for a bit. So on lap number 25, the closest gap between two drivers, of course, is between Baby Shumi and Vix356. P11 and P10, that's a battle in its own, who are exiting Sector 1. So the next lap on the main straight, you can expect a battle to ensue between these two drivers. Mind you, Baby Shumi is on 16-lap-old hards. Oh, it's a spinning Gouts. Gouts has spun out. He's spun out as a spinning McLaren while his charge was on. As a spinning McLaren trying to rejoin the track, now working out in his favor as three drivers head into the pits. That's RB Ferrello, Sicknig and Dub. So that is P2, P3 and P4 respectively, all in pits for a fresh set of softs for RB Ferrello and Dub, and a fresh set of mediums for the likes of Sicknig. And somehow in the pits, that's Dub who's gotten that position jump on Sicknig, and RB Ferrello still ahead of the lot. Vix356 is now into the pits after 18 laps on the soft tires. Quite the feat of its own, as Sicknig tries to close in on KDB now, who's on 19-lap-old tires. Folks, as it stands on lap number 26, we have 10 laps of racing left. Eccentric leads this race, a 14-second gap between him and Big Man Joe. Big Man Joe with similar set of tires as Eccentric. As Eccentric heads into the pits, which means Big Man Joe receives the race lead for now, unless he does head into the pits as well. No, he stays out on track. That's the race lead for him. As Sicknig attempts to make a move on his former teammate KDB. These two have locked out the front row twice in Season 4, and now they find themselves battling it out on track for track position. KDB, will he stay out on track for that much longer? Will he head into the pits? No, he decides to stay out on track, but DRS slipstream, he's got everything he needs. Sicknig down the inside, even before turn 1, up into P5. There you go, that gap disappeared real quick, didn't it? With Big Man Joe leading this race, Eccentric now finds himself only just under 1.5 seconds of RB Ferrello, but he's on a charge. He's trying to close that gap to Big Man Joe even before Big Man Joe has an opportunity to pit, because if there is a safety car, things will change. KDB, having lost that position to Sicknig, will be evaluating to pit, but mind you, there's already another driver who's gone well beyond 20 laps on the medium tires. Sector 1 lights up yellow. That's a slow moving Williams by the looks of it. Could have been Freeze. No, it did seem like an Alpine. Could have been another driver out on track, or maybe Drunken Monkey for that matter, who's in another blue car. But yeah, KDB now on, trying his best to close in on Sicknig. Okay, lap number 28, and there you go, folks. Game seems to have played its trick on me yet again. Apologies for that. Hopefully we can be back sooner than later. Stay with us, folks. Okay, folks, we are back, and thankfully this did not happen at race end. Would have been very disappointing if this tend to happen at the end of the race. We've still got a good amount of laps left into the race itself, around 8 to 9 laps, if I remember that right. Fortunate to now have Dalvin with us in the comms box. But nevertheless, it is 36 laps of racing around the Dutch circuit, Zandvoort. And there you go, folks. We missed something. Kuberabi has had retired from the session quite some time back, so not much has changed. We're on lap number 30. Let's get the full map on. Let's get the tires on, and there you go. Big Man just still leads this race ahead of RB Ferrello. Oh, that's a move coming in from the likes of Eccentric on Derp. Eccentric seems to have had an issue, and he had fallen down to P4. Now up into P3 on a charge of his own. 6 laps of racing left. Big Man Joe trying to make sure these mediums last all the way till the end of this race. We did see Hyrox24 spend 26 laps on medium tires. So right now, as it stands, if Big Man Joe pushes the same set of tires to 5 more laps, that will mean you'll only be left vulnerable on the final lap, perhaps. Hyrox24 did make sure those mediums lasted all the way to the 20. For 26 laps, we see a similar feat by the likes of Big Man Joe. Sector 2 did light up yellow for a moment, but of course cleared well and good out on track. Derp now closing in. Actually, he's trying to pick off his position, the one that he just lost to Eccentric, but I don't think that will happen, in fact. And on the main straight, let's quickly switch to our race leader, who's 4 seconds ahead, the likes of RB Ferrello. Envy hasn't shown up for the race, something significant which we did fail to mention earlier on, and that is the championship leader. Something not something you want to do, right? With KDB upping his game in the second half of the season, RB Ferrello with consistent podium finishes, equally strong, and now he's set to possibly be in contention for the race win as well. We want to be out on track for races like this. Unfortunate, and we will have a considerable amount of gap closed in on in the Drivers' Championship fight. Derp now has DRS, having been within a second of Eccentric. Eccentric trying to lap the back marker, the ghosted car of Freeze. There you go, folks. That is him lapping the back marker. Sector 3 lights up completely purple for the man who's on a charge to retake his race lead. On lap number 32, it's Big Man Joe still well in charge of the race itself, up in front. RB Ferrero's gap of 3 seconds now down to almost 2.5, but he doesn't look great for in battery power. KDB heads into the pits, and that is rain, folks. That is rain at the tail end of this race. Talk about causing quite a spin. It's KDB on intermediates, first one out on track on wet tires. That is a set of intermediates for the conditions that will pursue with the last 4 laps of this race. Big Man Joe on 23 lap old mediums. Things might just take a turn for the worst for the top 5 if they don't head into the pit soon enough. That's rain coming down, folks. And RB Ferrello still in P2, and that gap now, well, almost 2 seconds. Talk about taking a turn. We got another driver out on track on intermediates. That is Gouts. So it's rain for the last 3 laps, and that's almost a spin coming from KDB. Still finding it difficult to find grip on the intermediate. Sector 3 lighting up yellow as well. That's a stranded Aston Martin, I presume. No, that's a stranded Mark. That is Baby Shumi. Or no, that is another Merc. So that's Sicknig, who has headed into the pits after a spin of sorts on the exit of Sector 3. Now on a set of fresh mediums when the rain comes down. Not something you want to do, Sicknig, but he has done it regardless. He'll be fighting for grip out on track soon enough as Baby Shumi heads into the pits. Fresh set of intermediates for the man. Things are changing on these last 3 laps, as I mentioned, folks. It's the BRL after all. Stay on board. Sicknig will be fighting for grip on those fresh set of mediums. Or will he? Is the question. That intermediate's going to play. He might just be kicking himself now. Aerox 24 on 4 lap old softs seems to be poised to take a position off of Sicknig. Mind you, he's on softs with the rain coming down. Could have an effect on his own race. There you go. Sicknig's rear kicking out. Aerox 24's rear kicking out in Sector 2. I believe that's where Waters come down pretty well. And yeah, I'm talking gibberish at this moment. I had completely forgotten. It was mentioned earlier on when we did have the lobby restart. Let's quickly switch back to a battle that might just ensue in these final laps. Big Man Joe having held track position, having held the lead of this race for a while now, is now threatened for position by the likes of RB Ferrello. 5-second penalty for speeding in the pit lane for Drunken Monkey. We're on lap number 34, folks. The first driver to have pit for intermediates is KDB down in P8. You can see these front runners struggle for grip ahead. Still have tire data on as Sicknig pits yet again. He having known he's made a mistake. You can see RB Ferrello, guys, this is not a safety car, but it seems like there is a safety car out on track almost. Cross the pit lane, exit white line. Sicknig gets slapped with a 5-second time penalty. Big Man Joe, what's he gonna do? He's braving it out, folks. On lap number 35, he's still out on track, and down the inside goes RB Ferrello with a brave move in the rain on the softs. He somehow goes wide as well. He almost spins into his competitor, Big Man Joe. These two are wheel to wheel on tires not meant for these conditions, and RB Ferrello leads this race on lap number 35 ahead of Big Man Joe on 26 lap old mediums. Eccentric now closes in and tries to pick off a position on Big Man Joe. Almost lines up alongside of him, but has to hold back. Wow, what a race this is turning out to be. Derp, 21 seconds gap to close in on these last 2 laps on intermediates. Possibly an opportunity there. Front top 3 nursing their tires to the finish line. 20-second gap between them and the finish line, you could say. You can see that gap come down quite a bit. Down the inside as he goes completely wide. These are slow moves being made, but moves nevertheless. Eccentric now up in a P2. Big Man Joe down a P3 on 26 lap old mediums. and finding it incredibly difficult to keep it on track. 5-second penalty for corner cutting for RB Ferrello. And Eccentric now might just have a smile on his face, because right now as it stands, he's provisional P1. Meanwhile, in the midfield, as the final lap begins with RB Ferrello in the race lead on 9-lap old softs. Eccentric close behind P2. It's Sicknig on Drunken Monkey, both on intermediate. So this will be a battle in sector 3, or perhaps earlier in fact, on the gearbox of Drunken Monkey. As Drunken Monkey goes wide, it's wheel to wheel, these two on intermediates in sector 2. No contact between the two, no one's been pushed wide either. They're gonna stay wheel to wheel. Drunken Monkey's nose a bit ahead and into the next corner. Who's gonna miss the braking point? None. Perhaps they stay wheel to wheel yet again. These two drivers going neck and neck through sector 2, but Sicknig will have the position at the exit and at the entry of sector 3. He's up in a P6 and he's gotten away pretty well. Now Baby Shumi on the likes of Drunken Monkey. As Drunken Monkey weaves to the right hand side of the track, I just wonder how Hyrox 24 must be feeling. He's on fresh set of softs out on track. Now Derp has made the move stick on Big Man Joe. After all, on the final lap, it's lap number 36. He's within a second. He's got the right set of tires as well. Eccentric braving on track, trying to make sure he's still on track, but that is contact between the two Alfa Romeos ghosting through each other as well. But that counts as a move done by Derp. And now in sector 3, this is not how you lose a race, but it just might have played into the hands of Derp. Sector 1 lights up yellow. Derp's desperately trying to get ahead of RB Ferrello, who's trying to make sure that's a race finish, a photo finish, folks. RB Ferrello on track P1 and Eccentric DNF in at the exit of sector 3. Absolute chaos and mayhem here at Zandvoort at the very last lap of this race. Big Man Joe comes home P2, RB Ferrello P3. What a finish that was. P4 for probably KDB, who's rounding around sector 3. We will get to see Eccentric, who lost his car on that incline at sector 3, and of course he has left the session as well. KDB, first man to get onto the set of intermediates and will finish P4. Should make up for quite a bit in the Drivers' Championship battle. Oh, I'm out of breath, folks. Oh, what a race this has been. What a last 3 laps that was. Drunken Monkey, 5-second time penalty, which was unserved. After taking that into consideration, will fall down the outer guards. Is brave through it all. He is P9. He will finish P9. Of course, Drunken Monkey's penalties will have no effect. That is over a minute's gap between him and Drunken Monkey. And Hyrox 24 will finish P10. P9. My apologies. P8 for Gouts as he crosses the finish line. P9 for Hyrox 24, and the last lap having been finished on a fresh set of softs. Oof. What a race. KDB receives driver of the day. It was a fantastic race in the last 3 laps, having had rain enough to send things completely left field. But nevertheless, folks, it's Derp on the top step of the podium, having played his cards right. Unfortunate to see Eccentric not on the podium. It could have been a double podium for the Alfa Romeo boys for the day. But it's Big Man Joe having received P2 and RB Ferrello P3. That should count for that much more in the Drivers' Championship fight. Envy, you might want to return for a race or two for the rest of the season. Your closest competitors are gaining on you. It's a 1 minute 11.984 from the likes of Eccentric, the thunder lap of the Dutch GP of Season 5 of the Bwoah Racing League. And that is race end for now. Derp having won this race. Quite the race after 4 stops, mind you. And let me quickly go down the order, making sure I cover everyone. Unfortunate 3 retirements earlier on into the session, because we also fortunately didn't get to see a lot of these drivers even get through a single lap of the race. with that, I think we can leave it there, folks. For the bunch of y'all watching to the very end, thank you very much. We'll see you again for race number 15 next weekend, and hopefully we'll have company here in the comms box, and you can expect a thrilling race just as it was today. Cheers.